Welcome to the Joy Revival podcast, where faith, neuroscience, and creativity meet. Here, you will find encouragement for your journey, hope for healing, and inspiration to create in freedom. Joy is a sign of a heart that is free, and in Jesus, joy is your inheritance. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Joy Revival podcast. My name is Allie Brown. I'm your host today and the coach for the Joy Revival program. I am super excited to be back with you today and share with you a little bit more of a personal story. If you remember in the last episode, I talked about how negative emotions are not bad. They are just gauges that point to something that needs to be addressed. And besides making Jesus the center and priority of your life, seeking his kingdom first, this would be the one thing that I would teach everybody, which is the art of emotional resilience, how to be emotionally resilient. This has changed my life so much. I first learned about this couple words, emotional resilience, from a coach named Dr. Edie Wadsworth. And I thought it was very interesting. Since then, I have practiced it. I have tried to be very aware of my emotions instead of dismissing them and instead of shoving them down and not feeling them. I learned a lot from her coaching program. I definitely want to give her credit for where I first learned this. So I want to give you a little bit of a story time. I'm going to share my birthday story this year briefly and a realization and how far I've come in emotional maturity. It's interesting how even just 4 years ago, I might have responded differently to the situation than how I responded just a couple weeks ago. Since I was 30 years old, I have decided that I'm just going to celebrate myself for my birthday. I decided that I wasn't going to have any expectations for anyone else to celebrate me. I could only be celebrated as big as I wanted to if I were the one celebrating me as big as I wanted to, if that makes sense. So I threw myself my own 30th birthday party. I bought the decorations. I bought these really beautiful boutique cupcakes. I invited friends. I said, you can give me gifts. It was crazy. It was the first time that I just made the decision to do something for myself and not feel bad about it and not guilt anyone else about it. My husband was very supportive and I just didn't care. I didn't care what people thought. I wanted to have a good 30th birthday party and I knew that I was going to be the one to be able to do that because I know what I like. So I threw myself a 30th birthday party. Every year since then, I have celebrated myself in a special way. My 40th birthday party, I had some really sweet friends throw me a beautiful birthday party and I didn't have to throw it myself. I was absolutely blown away by the love that I felt from that birthday. But 41, 42, all of the birthdays in between, I have celebrated me. So it's very unusual for me to feel anything but joy and really celebratory around my birthday time. This year was a little different. I woke up on my birthday and I felt so heavy. I felt very heavy. And like I said, it was unusual for me. I realized there were some situations that were making me very sad. I felt a little bit of hopelessness. And so because I have learned about emotional resilience, I knew what to do. I'm going to go through and teach you what those things are, but I can say that very quickly I was able to experience the emotion that was there because that's important. You don't want to dismiss it or shove it down. You actually need to feel it. And then was able to work through that with the Lord and then return to joy very quickly. I want to show you a little visual. People on audio won't be able to see this, but on YouTube, you'll see a rubber band, okay? So our brains were wired for joy. We were wired to be in a state of peace and joy. Now, of course, distressing things happen in life. So it's no surprise that things will not go our way and we can be sad or angry or in fear. So right now, this rubber band is just loose. It's just in its natural state. When we're in a distressing situation, do you see how I'm stretching it like this? I'm stretching this rubber band so there's tension. Something is happening that's causing tension in this rubber band. To be emotionally resilient means that we snap back, we return to joy quickly, that we're able to experience the tension, but get back to that natural state quickly. So that's what I want you to think of when I say emotional resilience. It's not that we're not going to experience tension, because we are. We are not going to get through this life without experiencing some sort of negative emotion. Be resilient enough to return to joy quicker and quicker, and Jesus is the key. Let me tell you, that is the goal. We are emotional beings because we are made in God's image. All throughout the Bible, there are scriptures that speak of the emotions of God. In Genesis, it talks about how God was sad that he made man. It talks about the anger of God. It talks about the joy of the Lord. There are emotions that the Lord has. And because we are made in his image, we obviously are going to have emotions too. Emotions are just gauges. Imagine that you are in a car and you have, the hot and the normal and the cold gauge that tells you if your engine's overheating. You want that needle to rise when your engine's hot so that you can stop the car and see what's going on. So we don't need to fear negative emotions. They are only signals to us. They are not enemies. These are the things that I have found are helpful for emotional resilience. Okay, there's 4 things. The first thing is to value all emotions, even the negative ones. I had a member of my Joyful Journey class share a really interesting analogy. I believe she's a teacher. In school, we learn about integers, and there's a number line, and there's 0, and you have positive integers and negative integers. And you learn in school that both of those integers, the positive and the negative, they both have value. That's the first thing that we need to understand, is that negative emotions are still valuable. Sometimes I think some Christians can mistake negative emotions as a lack of faith. I've seen that a lot, where people will just avoid negative emotions altogether because they don't think it's faith. I want to remind you about King David in the Psalms. He expressed sorrow, he expressed anger and fear, but he still worshiped. He did not dismiss those emotions. He worshiped in the midst of those emotions. Number 1, I want you to try to give value to all emotions. Joy, peace, fear, sadness, all of those emotions, they are valuable. The second thing is awareness. Awareness is so important. It took me a little while to notice when emotions would rise up in me in real time. It's helpful to be able to hear how we're speaking. A lot of times how we speak will be good indicators of what we're feeling. And also too, there's a bit of disembodiment going around in people. Being aware what's happening in your body, tension, warmth, pressure, your heartbeat going faster, feeling shortness of breath, those are real bodily manifestations of emotions. And an example would be like, if you're young and in love, if you're in love with somebody, most people can probably relate that when you had young love, you found someone that you really liked and you were around them, you felt like these butterflies. They call them butterflies in your stomach, right? And it was just this inside your body because you were nervous, or you felt this just like a nervousness around them. So that's happening in your body because of the emotion that you're experiencing. A week ago, I was feeling a little anxious before my Joy Revival call. That's not normal for me, but I did not dismiss it. I just closed my eyes and I'm like, where is this happening in my body? I was able to locate it, just feel it, invite Jesus into that space and let him calm me down. And then I was fine afterwards. It takes about 90 seconds to let those emotions just flow through you. There's a book called The Body Keeps Score. I have not personally read this yet, but I've heard about it a lot. What I've heard is that you can only go so long dismissing your emotions. At some point, your body will be like, hey, we got to deal with this. The trauma kind of stays inside your body. So it's super important to notice the emotion and notice where it's happening in your body. There's a scripture verse that says, a joyful heart is good like medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. So that right there is a scripture. It's in Proverbs that talks about this despair, like a crushed spirit, that hopeless despair. affecting your body. One thing that was really helpful for me when I started becoming aware of my emotions was using a feelings wheel. I just didn't even know all the feelings that you could feel. There's also one from Thrive, which is the Life Model Works people. I really like that one too. But a feelings wheel, you can see it on feelingswheel.com, is really nice that you can just name it. Oh, I'm irritated. Oh, I'm feeling powerful today. I'm feeling disgusted. According to Dr. Jim Wilder and the Life Model Works folks, there's 6 negative emotions that we all have to get over, and they are anger, fear, shame, disgust, sadness, and hopeless despair. And you can recover from all of them with the Lord. But just having that tool of looking at a feelings wheel and being like, what am I feeling right now? You'll get better and better as you become aware of the emotions rising up and then stopping to just see where they are happening in the body. I think that's super important. Number 3, I would say curiosity. Stay curious. Once you've named the emotion, once you've felt where it is in your body, being curious as to why it's there. Don't judge it. There's no reason to judge it, but just get curious about it. Asking, what is this trying to tell me? I have a really awesome tool in my program called the Root to Fruit Revolution. And what it does is it identifies the belief behind the feeling. All of your emotions, there is a thought hiding behind them. There's a belief system hiding behind them. There was an experience that happened somewhere in your life that created a thought. Usually they are lies that we are agreeing with, they're fears, but I would say about 95% of them are lies that we're agreeing with. So that tool is really helpful, and just stopping and asking, what is it that I'm believing right now? A good example that I love to share with people with anxiety is this thought of, I don't have enough time. I used to a while ago. I don't really, it's amazing how we can transform for reals. But about 2 years ago, I would say this kind of stopped becoming my reality. But I would say 3 years ago, or the Patreon days, oh my gosh. Back in my Patreon days, I would be so stressed out about this thought, I don't have enough time to do this. And it was this belief system that was rooted in lack and scarcity. Because I was so stressed out, I just ruminated in that idea that I don't have enough time. And so I procrastinate or dread things. I wasn't as productive as I could have been because I was just ruminating in that thought, which then I would be behind on some things, and that solidified that thought, oh, I didn't have enough time. But when I invite Jesus into that thought and I say, Lord, what do you say about this thought? And you replace that lie with the truth. I love this thought. I snagged this from Dr. Edie as well. She invited us to think, I have plenty of time to do what matters most. I love that thought so much. And I even asked the Lord, I'm like, Lord, I need scriptures to back this up. I actually just pulled out my little pages that I would practice this every morning. I want to share some examples of the thoughts that I would practice with the scriptures that he would give me. I love this one. I live in complete abundance. I am such a giver. Give, and it will be given to you. They will pour into your lap a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For by your standard of measure, it will be measured to you in return. Luke 6:38. There is plenty of time to do what matters most. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he will do it. Psalm 37:5. Oh, it's so good. Here's another one that I practiced. I live in breakthrough and complete abundance. The scripture he gave to me for that one was 2 Corinthians 10. Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will supply and multiply your seed for sowing and increase the harvest of your righteousness. There is scripture for every single beautiful thought. I promise you, if you ask Jesus, and that's the fourth thing, that's a perfect segue. You invite Jesus in to the thought. Invite Jesus into the belief system that is most likely a lie that you're believing. Just like in 2 Corinthians 10:5, it says to take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. So I literally imagine myself arresting that thought and shoving it in front of Jesus and asking Jesus, what do you say about this? And letting that thought turn from a lie into the truth that he tells me. Because again, the whole goal of a emotional resilience is returning to joy faster. So after you've identified what's going on, invite Jesus into that space or that memory and let him be your emotional regulator. This has been what has changed in me the most, being intentional about all the thoughts. It says, take every thought captive. Now that's very overwhelming at first when you think about it, because we are experiencing about 70,000 thoughts a day. Some of them is just raw information, like in how to walk from here to there. But some of these thoughts are not serving you. They are not serving your true self, your beautiful true self, and who God called you to be. So it's very important that those forefront thoughts that are keeping you from who you really are, that you really take those captive. In wrapping up this episode, I want to just suggest the creativity aspect of building resilience. So you can use creativity as a tool to anchor this truth in your heart and your mind. The right side of the brain fires at 6 times per second and the left is at 5 times per second. So when you're doing something creative with meditating in the scripture, if you're doing some art journaling or if you're painting, even swatching, and you have your new thought that the Lord's given you and you're just meditating on it, actually saying it out loud, something really beautiful happens when you say things and you're hearing it. It fires up a different part of the brain. So as you're saying the scripture, if you're singing the scripture, it does something different in your brain. If you do that while you are doing something creative, it really sinks that truth deep. Just as a review, the 4 steps for emotional resilience is 1, valuing all emotions, 2, being aware when they're happening and even allowing yourself to stop and feel where they are in your body, 3, stay curious about it, ask questions, and 4, invite Jesus into that space with you. He is the best at attuning to you and loving on you. He is so tender with our weakness. Your tears are precious to him. And so you can invite him into that space and you say, Jesus, what do you want to tell me about this? Or even if it's a memory that happened back when you were a little girl or anything like that, you can, Lord, where were you when this happened? He'll tell you, he will show you. If this resonated with you, this is what the Joy Revival is all about. You are welcome to check it out in the link below. I want to ask, what emotion have you been avoiding? And where could you invite Jesus to bring healing and joy into that space? Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I bless you and your journey in becoming emotionally resilient with the Lord. See you next time. Thank you so much for being here with me on the Joy Revival podcast. I'd love for you to subscribe and share this with a friend who needs a little hope for today. And remember, joy is your inheritance and it's yours to walk in every single day.